You will never be a better monster designer than Mother Nature, but that's okay. You don't have to be. You can just use her to make your things better. Hey folks, let's talk about Mother Nature and monster design, but before we do that, introductions. Hey folks, my name is VJ Harris. My pronouns are they, them, he, him, and something funny. I'm a full-time tabletop role-playing designer and professional game master. You might recognize my name from things such as MCDM Productions, Arcadia, Flea Mortals, or An Elf and Nor Cat Little Baby, volumes 1 through 4. Okay, introduction done. Let's get back to it. Content warning, content warning. You are about to see strange-looking creatures, including fish and bugs. If that is something that bothers you, jump down to the description to see when you can pick the video back up. Mother Nature, the personification of nature, is rife with creatures we couldn't come up with in our wildest dreams. Strange sights abound in the natural world, some benign and others a death sentence if you ever cross them. But regardless of how lethal they are, nearly every single one can help us as designers. When people tell you as a designer to consume a bunch of different media, they're telling you that for your own good. A wide range of information to draw from makes you a better designer regardless of its monsters, locations, systems, you name it. And if you haven't been already, you should be consuming from animals in the real world. I'm no stranger to using monsters to help me design. In 2020, I was a part of the Scientific Secrets of Icewind Dale, a bestiary based off of actual creatures. I made the Frigid Doom based on the Tardigrade. Tardigrades latch onto the creatures they eat, sucking nutrients from them until they are dead, which is how I came up with the mechanics of the tentacle attack. Tentacle, melee weapon attack, +9 to hit, reach 15 feet, 1 target, hit 18, 3d8 plus 5 piercing damage. If the target is a creature, it is grappled, escape DC 15. Until this grapple ends, the target is restrained and the Frigid Doom can't use that tentacle on another target. At the start of each of its turns, a grappled creature must make a DC 15 Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, roll the target's hit dice twice, adding their Constitution modifier to each roll. The target's current hit points and hit point maximum are reduced by the total amount rolled, which is considered necrotic damage. In addition, the target's Constitution score is reduced by 2. The target dies if their Constitution score is reduced to 0. The reduction to both maximum hit points and Constitution scores lasts until the target finishes a short or long rest. The target can try to break the grapple at the end of each of its turns. I would rebalance it now that I'm a better designer, but the mechanic itself is pretty solid. But this is an old monster, and it isn't the reason I'm making this video. A buddy of mine saw a volcanic snail and wanted it statted, so I was like, I got you, friend. Check out the original video that inspired these stat blocks, Daggerheart included.
Yo, peace is either unstoppable, I cannot be stopped, will not be stopped. Why even try? So, I'm gonna need stats for this. Like a giant version of this that lives like on the quasi-elemental plane of steam, where the water intersects with like the positive, plane of elemental energy. I don't know. I don't even know if in 5e if the plane of steam still exists. Anyway, it does in my heart and in my brain. So I'm gonna need stats for a giant version of this creature, because let's be real, this junk is like a miniature, real, living dragon-like creature, and it needs its respect. So yeah, I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna probably do it myself. But if anybody is already, like high speed and doing things already, creating monsters and stuff, and want to forward ahead real fast, please do so, because this is a concept that just is too great to be ignored. Alright, peace.
First step here is to learn about the creature. So here are the facts I grabbed and what they led me to design. Each shell layer appears to contribute to the effectiveness of the snail's defense in different ways. The middle organic layer appears to absorb mechanical strain and energy generated by a squeezing attack, for example by the claws of a crab, making the shell much tougher. The organic layers also act to dissipate heat. Features of this composite material are in focus of researchers for possible use in civilian and military protective applications. I gave the volcanic snail an AC of 20 based on an iron golem and resistance to bludgeoning damage. The snail's esophageal gland houses symbiotic gamma-protobacteria from which the snail appears to obtain its nutrients. Pseudomonas decussei, lung infections, wound infections, urinary infections, Yersinia pestis, the plague, that is the kind of things that bacteria comes from. The bacteria range attack that can cause walking rot was based off of the bacteria in its mouth and the diseases it carries. It also informed the symbiote ability because the only way the volcanic snail can get nutrients is through the bacteria. The cephalic tentacles, or Littoronia planixes, are not critical to general movement but are used while the snail moves for tactile surveillance, and they enable the animal to perform more easily, such as maneuvers as riding. At first, I was going to give it a tentacle attack, but reading this made me think the tentacles are used for feeling out surroundings because it has no eyes, I gave it blind sight, out to 60 feet, but blind otherwise. The foot is red and large, and the snail cannot withdraw the foot entirely into the shell. There is no pedal gland in the front part of the foot. There are also no epipodal tentacles. That led me to give it the skilly leg attack. Stuff like fire immunity and cold vulnerability was based off of where they live and me looking up what happens if they're in the cold. Nothing good. After getting those abilities, I did consult other D&D 5e monsters, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, giant spider, sperm whale, seahorse, and flail snail, to make sure I had the right CR and stats, etc., etc. When I actually sat down to do this, it took me a little under an hour. But yeah, that's it, folks. Don't work against Mother Nature. Let her help you become better. See you later. Peace out.